My name is Jamo Muhammad, and I'm in here in behalf of some of the things I've heard that's going on, not just here, but in behalf of labor in the city. Some things aren't new, of course, and some things are. But at the same time, we just got to be more mindful as we consider, labor and some of the things that's going on, because in some of these labor type positions, some of our lives is dependent on one another. As we deal in some of these fields when we're dealing with heavy machinery and things like that. And if it's to the point to where, we not feeling, for one another as we should, things may happen on the job that we may see as an accident, but may not be an accident. So I'm just here to get more of an insight in terms of what it is that's taking place, because as those of us from the neighborhoods who have friends and things that work in some of these establishments, we should be mindful of what's going on, and that we may be clear, and I'm just thankful to be here, and thankful to be in support of such things, because today, it may be, him and others, but who will it be tomorrow, especially when we got children growing up in these cities and have aspirations of being in some of these positions and working on some of these jobs. But I'm thankful, and just taking advantage of the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you first to everyone who just turned out, all those who wanted to turn out but did not turn out due to other issues they had going on currently. What happened here was it's atrocious. It should never happen anywhere at any job, and with any workers. It's not right. What I and other workers had to go through is just not right. The noose was placed, okay. They suspended the worker for 6 days, okay. That wasn't right, but they did that. They brought him back. 11 days after that, he throws a jet magazine at another black employee. It's not right. So he's showing a pattern here. It's not right. What the company did after that was basically, in my opinion, retaliation and bullying. And it wasn't right. So that's why now speaking out against it. It's just not right to do. And we got to stand up. We as the workers have the power. We can't allow the companies no more to have the power over us to where we just sit back and take it. All the other workers who saw the Noose incident that happened, they all were scared. From my understanding, when I spoke to HR, they all said that they were scared. They didn't want to speak out because they were feared that they would lose their jobs. That's not right. No worker should have to work under that. No worker. Not me, not you, not anyone. So that's the main reason why I have to stand up to fight. Nobody else will, so I will. After that, we had an issue with, I applied for 4 different positions, never heard anything back. At that point, I took it upon myself to call the Department of Fair Employment and Housing. As I did that, I contacted HR to meet with them to talk to them about my issues, so that way they would know what the issues were and what I was having an issue with. At that point, they told me, they basically filled me with a whole bunch of lies. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to help you do this. But nothing ever happened. I was told that I would be back in a truck. I was a driver in 2013 and was laid off due to the fact that they said that my times were late, but they kept changing the story, saying that, oh, it's because I got into an accident. But when I got into an accident, I spoke to the operations manager, and he laughed at the situation and said that it was okay because of the fact that this type of thing happens. We expect this to happen. So after that, I got hired back as a material handler, which is a $13, $14 an hour less paying position than what I'm qualified for. So I was told that I would be back in a truck eventually, but that never happened. I saw the Noose incident, which I didn't create that situation. I didn't tell the white coworker to pick the noose up, put it on a black person's, another black coworker's belongings. I didn't do none of that. But it seems as if now the victim is being the one who's being targeted, and now they're making me seem as if I'm the villain, which is not right. I didn't do any of these things. They're going through all my background, trying to find ways to make me seem as if I'm bad, but I'm not. I didn't do any of this. I didn't cause this. I didn't tell them to do this. I asked to go to the doctors. They would never let me go to the doctors. I asked the operations manager, I asked certain supervisors, certain management, and neither one of them would let me go to the doctor. So I had to take it upon myself 4 to 5 months later on my own dime to go to my own doctor to get some kind of help. At that point, I was called back into the office right here, 501 Tunnel, to speak with the safety manager. And as I did that, the safety manager told me, well, you have to go see our doctor now. But I explained to him, I said, well, listen, I've been asking you for the last 4 months, and people here at this company for the last 4 months, to go see a doctor, because it wasn't right for me to have to work with this white coworker and under these, anxiety, stress. I'm sitting at work, I couldn't even work. I'll go sit down in the bathroom and just sit there. So I wasn't productive at work, but it was because of the issue that happened with the Noose and me being forced to work with this white coworker who I felt showed a pattern after throwing the Jet magazine, showed a pattern. And then also, like I stated, the issue was the fact that from what HR told me and my union told me, John Brouchard at Local 350, which is my business agent, told me that the operations manager here did not fill out the proper paperwork to get this coworker fired. It should not have been 2 incidents that have happened. It should have just been the one, but they didn't fill out the paperwork correctly, so it ended up turning, instead of 2 incidents, it turned into just 1 incident, which is not right. So they're liable for that. The reason that I went through what I went through and the other workers went through what they went through is because of their botched attempt at really following protocol and what they should have done. At that point, a little bit past that, I spoke to HR. All this time, I'm not even talking to a lawyer. I don't want a lawyer because it's not about the money. For me, it's about getting justice for myself. It's about getting justice for the other workers. And that's the only thing that I care about. And still to this day, that's what I care about, is justice for myself and justice for the other workers. But unfortunately, that never happened. So we're going back and forth. Now we're in courts fighting it. There's 2 different cases, from my understanding, that my lawyer has filed. One is for the discrimination, where they didn't allow me to go to a doctor. And then there's another one that's going to be in state. The federal court is the one for the discrimination, and state court is for the retaliation part, where I was denied a promotion based off of what I'm qualified for. And then also I had a meeting that was on the side from my lawyer, where the HR manager sat down and talked to me at PF Chang's in Berkeley. And she basically told me that because of what I did, that I will never be promoted in the company. Where there was a witness that was there that they called. They called originally, they contacted Keith Jackson, who we all know is under investigation right now with Leland Yee. They contacted him, he contacted me. I don't know why they're investigating me, trying to find out who I am, who I know, who I don't know. Let's deal with the issue of the Noose and you all retaliating against me. That's the main issue that I'm worried about. But that didn't happen. So Keith Jackson contacts me. As he contacts me, he tells me to take whatever deal that they offer. I told Keith I'd advise him to stay out of it, mind his own business. He has his own issues going on. Let that be that. The meeting happened because I wanted to find out what they were offering. I wanted to know what they were talking about. As I get to the meeting, I tell them straight up, only deal I want to take is for you all to apologize, 1. 2, I want you all to change policy on this open door policy that you all have behind workers like myself, addressing issues that we have with either other workers or with management. But I was retaliated against, and I didn't want that to happen to anyone else. At that time, the HR manager told me that they would offer me $50,000 and I needed to walk away. I told them that's not fair enough. I'm not going to do it. If they add another 0 to it, apologize, and change policy, then maybe we could talk. She told me straight out of her mouth that that's not going to happen. We're not going to give you anything even close to $500,000, not even $200,000. $50,000 is the only deal that you're going to be able to be given. Take it or leave it. It's the last time the deal is on the table. Well, I told her, well, I guess it's just going to have to be off. I'm not taking it. So after that, we were getting ready to leave, and she basically told me because of what I did by filing a DFEH claim, and because of the fact that I reported the issue and the incident, and I went to the newspaper and, got the news involved, which is the New Bayview newspaper, and I did a YouTube video. Because of that I would never be promoted in the company, and that they did not want me there, but they knew that they couldn't fire me due to the fact that that would be against the law. Whatever. So we're still fighting currently right now in the courts. I just think that, as all workers, this type of bullying. I went to a conference 2 weeks ago with Steve Zeltzer, and in this conference, I saw other workers that were standing there that it really made me sad to see 30 different people that were going through the same taxes that I was going through, that the company used against them to retaliate and bully them, which didn't make any sense to me. So at that point, I decided that we needed to do something and step up and fight. And now this forum or this rally here today can be that can catapult other workers to come out at Recology, to let them know that people are standing up and standing with them, and at other companies. It doesn't have to just be here, it could be at other companies, because I know other people are experiencing bullying on their workplace and whatnot, and that has to stop. That has to stop immediately. And I don't know if it's HR, their lawyers, or whoever's doing it, but whomever is telling these individuals how to deal with workers that speak out against it, it needs to stop and change. Also, what I'm calling on city officials already. Steve, you already spoke to this, but I'm calling on city officials to do something. This is enough is enough. I know at least of 10 cases here in the Bay Area where nooses were hung up on jobs. Here in the Bay Area, I believe it was 4 in San Francisco and about 6 throughout the rest of the Bay Area. Enough is enough of that. I want the unions also to come out and speak up against it, because this is not right. There's no way that these can be unionized jobs and the union takes the back road and doesn't say or do anything about it. It's not right. So I want the city officials in all these different cities, from Oakland and all the other cities around the Bay Area, also our mayor here in San Francisco, to speak up and speak out against it. Even if they have to create some form of a panel or something to regulate companies when there's a noose incident that happens because of the issue that happened here, to where when it's reported, nothing happens. So that's what I'm calling for, and that's what I would like to see happen. Also at Local 350, they don't have a black business agent down there. So I would like for them to have a black business agent, because they represent Recology, they represent this facility, and they represent the facility down at Pier 96, where there are a lot of black employees. So we need to have a black business agent put in place, that's qualified, of course, put in place. That way they can speak to the issues and speak to what's going on and speak to the problems that we're having apparently on some of these jobs, and the issues that we're having as black workers, union brothers and sisters. So that's all I have to say. Anyone else want to speak? This is not a forum just about Daryl Washington. This is a forum for any worker who has experienced bullying on their job, terrorism, and racism on their job, with nooses either being hung or being picked on because of their color, religion, class, whatever it may be, age even. So if any...
Brenda Barrows, I'm with the SEIU 1021. I'm one of the local co-chairs for San Francisco, one of the political co-chairs and chapter president out at San Francisco General. And I'm here in support of him, and I was involved in the conference that he spoke of, because there is a major problem with hiring of black people in San Francisco. San Francisco is starting to be a place where a lot of black people who do manage to get a job here feel like they're not wanted, and they're treated like that once they get on the job. You get very little relief. I'm a public employee, and I will tell you, in the city of San Francisco, the African American employees feel just the same. We had the incident at the police department with the Texas toward other black officers, and it is time for all this to stop. And we need to work on this together. And I think if we can deal with the bullying part of it, because that's how it comes out on all of us, right? The bullying tactics, that's what the racists use now against people of color. They bully us when you're on the job. They try to run you out. I know too many people that have health issues related to being bullying on the job. And so it's time for everybody to stand up for all workers, and particularly unions. The unions need to step up more. The unions are not doing enough. Having a one person here like me or one person there, that's not going to get it done. It's going to have to be an organizational decision, and they're going to have to make a conscious decision that they want to stop this kind of behavior in employee workplaces. So that's why I'm here, and I hope this will bring more people involved, and I hope other people do come out, and they do know that there are other people that can help them if they need to be helped. I try to do that for the people that work at San Francisco General, but I'm only at San Francisco General. There are a lot of people out there in a lot of other city jobs that are suffering, and they don't have anybody to go to. So we need to increase the number of people out there that are willing to help people.
We all know we've been having a big fight at City College of San Francisco against an accreditor who's tried to close the school down, and that would limit access to the people who need that college the most, which is the African American community, other communities of color, LGBT folks. I mean, they are, this is what's happening here as part of a multi-pronged attack against working people and their right to an education, their right to have a workplace that's free of bullying, and the kind of thing that Daryl just told us about. So I completely agree with Brenda that our unions need to be doing more about this. I mean, we're both on the Labor Council, so is Lisa here, and maybe others, but we need to make sure our unions are standing up for people, not what he's been seeing from the Teamsters, that what they've been not doing for him. So I think this is a really important gathering. It also brings to my mind what happened recently in South Carolina, how there was, of course, we all know about the shooting and then the taking down of the flag, but then the Klan came out and rallied, and a lot of people were saying just ignore the Klan because they'll go away. Well, I mean, it seems like I see folks here agree with me and others that we need to be fighting the Noose incident here, as well as we fight against the Klan coming out and saying that they need to have the Confederate flag and that they want to recruit people to their side. So it's really important to counter these kinds of attacks, whether it be here, whether it be in South Carolina, against the Klan rally. What happened is about 2,000 people on our side against the Klan showed up and made the 100 or so Klan members scurry away, basically, back into the woodwork. So thanks everyone for being out here, and let's keep fighting.
And I am a member of the San Francisco Labor Council, and I'm on the executive board, and I'm an officer of United Educators of San Francisco. The main thing is we cannot ignore racism. We've got to have more multiracial unity than ever before, because one of the main things that the ruling class, the bosses, use to divide us is by our race, and we can't allow that to happen. I was bullied on the job. In fact, I ended up being forced to retire, and I didn't want to do that because I'm a school teacher. I was forced to retire, and we're not really sure from the union perspective if it was my multiracial background, whether it was because I'm a woman, whether it's because I'm a very active unionist. But I was forced to retire. I was bullied like crazy by the principal, and that hurt me. And by the way, there might be more people here, except for the fact that it's the middle of the workday for most people. So we have to spread the word. We have to get more unity. We have to get more unions involved. You're right, Brenda. You're right, Bob. You're right, Daryl. Because this is going to happen more if we don't fight back. And we can't think, oh, well, it's a black issue. When it's around immigrants, it's a Latino issue. When it's around anything else, it's around that issue. It affects us all. I'm not here speaking for my union, but as an individual, we got to step it up like crazy. Thank you.
Originally, when the situation happened, it was taken as if it was a joke. We have to stop thinking that racist acts that happen on jobs and anywhere else. You can't change the mindset of somebody who's basically plagued with white supremacy and a racist. But we can change the fact that what you do at the jobs and in public. And that's what needs to happen. This is not a joke. A noose being hung up, the symbolism behind that is so bad for black people here in America that it should never happen again. I mean, it's just to even compare, even though it's, in my opinion personally, it's even worse than, but if you think about the swastika to Jewish people and how they will not allow that to happen anywhere, that's how it has to be with a noose. We cannot allow that to happen anywhere. We have to stand up and fight that when that happens. And it should never happen, but when it does, the companies, the unions, and everyone else should be swift in action to take action to do something against that individual, whoever did whatever they did, and we should stand united together to fight that atrocious act.
Yeah, I'm retired trade union. There's a lot of trade unions I worked in, and one of them was the National Maritime Union. I was a merchant sailor for 14 years. And I got on board a ship called the Carbide Sea Drift. This is back in the 70s. Carbide Sea Drift, we were carrying chemicals between the East Coast down to Puerto Rico and back. And we were a new crew on the ship. Our union had gotten the contract from another union. The other union that had been sailing the ship for decades had a pretty bad record as far as integration. And where our union, the National Maritime Union, was an integrated union. Guy could sail in any department at any rate as long as he had the qualifications. And so after about a week on the ship, hanging nooses appeared in the passageways. Now this was a shock to us guys. We hadn't seen that. I I'd sailed the world. And so we went, where the hell is this coming from? So we had our union meeting, and I was part of the ship's committee, and we voted that we were going to go up to the captain and tell the captain that if he didn't stop this, we knew where it was coming from, these officers. Because the unlicensed crew wouldn't do nothing like this. The officers were doing this as a means of terrorizing the crew. That if they didn't do something about this, we would sit the ship down no matter where it was at. Now that's the only time I ever see a captain visibly shaken on a ship. And we didn't have any more problems with those nooses showing up. And I'm sure he found out who was doing it. Either got rid of them or told him he'd be going. But this is how we did it collectively, and it's a disgrace that Local 350 and their leadership has not done anything about this. And I want to thank Daryl for standing up and fighting this struggle. And it has to be fought directly. You can't hide this. This is something you got to fight directly. Like it's been said, if the swastika was shown in this country, it would be illegal. But they let the Confederate flag in this country fly for 150 years. That's a traitorous flag, just like the swastika. So thanks, Steve.
An incident that happened a few years ago. I work on the Blue and Gold ferry, Blue and Gold fleet actually, and I was on a crew that was it's all white, and we were wrapping up at the end of the day. We were up in Vallejo, and the captain and two other deckhands, we found a piece of rope, and they started to tie a noose, and I said, that's not cool, that's a racist symbol. And they said, well, it's just a joke. And I said, it's not funny. And I made them untie it, and I was pretty adamant about it. You know, I don't know if they've learned anything since then, but I think it shows that there's a lot of ignorance out there and a lot of work we have to do. That's really all I have to say about that. I mean, I agree with everything else everyone here has said, so, you know, let's get out there and make sure we do that work. And make it clear that Black Lives Matter.
Something else going on, and it's called mobbing, which is group bullying by professionals. I'm representing students in our California State University system. I'm also representing teachers, healthcare professionals, because those who speak up and tell what's going on, we are retaliated against. And I was retaliated for disclosing this discriminatory labor practices at a skilled nursing facility, and I cannot practice the occupational therapy profession because I spoke up, and now I'm trying to speak up so other people can come forward with their stories.
My dad's always taught me to always stand up for like yourself and always stand up for your people and never like let people push you down or like break you down. And he's always taught me like what you guys mentioned about the Confederate flag. Yes, you taking it down might make a change, but you can't change people's mindset. And taking down a flag is not going to change their racist like beliefs and stuff like that. So you always, my dad, I really appreciate my dad because he always stands up for everybody. And like a lot of people, like you said, like they'll be scared or they don't want to speak up, but he'll speak up and he like has a voice and he always wants to do the right thing, especially for his people and for anybody. Like that's really one thing I really appreciate my dad for. So.
Stop retaliation. Human rights now. Stop nooses.